Hi friends, I'm just getting set up here. Thank you for the invitation to speak into this esteemed container and company about BDSM and Bhakti, Kink and Tantra. A short aside, walking in beauty means getting past fears. Bringing the dark into the light sometimes requires bringing the light into the dark. As we endeavor to F the ineffable, as Amanda Eloesh has said, and Eric Davis and Douglas Adams before her, fear and getting past it, lest we stop growing, held in our journey past and even with that fear. Therapy, friendship, caring conversation for joy, for happiness, confidence, and peace. This is what prayer is for, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So, welcome to my brief talk on Kink and Tantra for the San Francisco Theosophical Society Lodge. This one is called Whole and Perfect, Unity and Duality. It's the heart of the matter. And the funny thing is that it is neither whole nor perfect. But this is such a beautiful theme that comes to us from the Tantric scriptures. All is whole and perfect. So, that said, this is really not a polished talk. This is really a glimpse into my creative process. I'm reporting in from the land of Scots and Cherokee, supported in this by my beloved ally Oak, and by Rose, Rosemary, and even Mistletoe. To the east, a bend in the river, and a couple miles beyond to Black Mountain, creative home of Buckminster Fuller, Merce Cunningham, John Cage, Cy Twombly, Ruth Asawa. Beyond that, the open road, I-40, unobstructed, sun-cooked, perfect pavement all the way to the Atlantic. And the rising sun at every dawn, spaces of pure possibility. What else is possible? Inspiration born here every day in every breath of air. And to the south, the empire builder's grand statement of New World wealth to rival the courts and coffers of old Europe. Thousands of acres of woods, vineyards, gardens, pools, and farther on to Georgia and Florida, spilling down the Blue Ridge into the lowlands, cooking hotter as you go, flames on high. Smoked meats are the base of existence here. You can't make a good brisket without a thick old layer of fat to char, and the wood roasting just right. Along with a good fire comes a good fire tender. To the west, the falling water, rainbow falls, and sapphire, the unending network of ice-cold clear creeks and plunges, cool mists hanging soft and floating heavy down through the valleys. Holy artists' colonies, private pagan enclaves, sacred sanghas in the shape of Stone Age villages, peach moonshine and resident elves. There, the tortured minotaur dissolves into the green man, oak and elm, pine and laurel. Ultimately, the flow of emotions reflected and supported in the cycles of life. The fluid changes always: birth, life, death, rest. Restless, birth, life, death, rest. Restless acceptance and ease as the river runs. To the north, higher heights, colder climbing and climate, denser woods, darker vales, stiller stillness, where them old folks from England, Scotland, Ireland came and found their new highlands. Those brogues still speak in them thar hills. We all know we'll end up there anyhow, in the old churchyard, our name on a stone if we're lucky with those we loved, or planted by the old mill house to melt our blessings out for a century at least, where lilacs still in the dooryard bloom. The many who came before us, the ancestors we shall become, the bones and the blood of us, the meat and desire of us, the faith and the effort, both. And up above, the stillness and the churning at the center of the galaxy, all the star roads and ether oceans spinning above, Shurr fire whirling, endless. The other sun, our upward anchor. And down below, the stillness and the churning at the center of this planet, Gaia boiling and fuming, cranking machine of her, rising up through us, through her pulling down. And in the center of it all, our hearts, in every breath and every beating, amazing grace. More creation yet to come, love never faileth. Our hearts, the center of it all, the center of us all, one heart and still our very own. Shared among us all, cauldron and creatrix. She is, we are, I am. Sa, hum, sa, hum, sa, hum, sa, hum, sa, hum, sa, hum. This is whole and perfect. That is whole and perfect. From the whole and perfect, the whole and perfect become manifest. Purnamadaha, Purnamidam, Purnad, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnamevava Shishyate. Just take a moment to absorb that. When we last spoke, I had just introduced a link between BDSM and Bhakti. They travel the same territory, though they take very different routes. What makes the raga powerful as a vehicle of spiritual nourishment and as a training for the devotional heart is its distance from the beloved. Without distance, there would be no desire. Without longing, no fulfillment. Don't diss duality. Without division, there's no union. Without disunity, no unity. And it's not fulfilling for many to go around simply bathed in pure bliss, only to roll and flow and fly and sing, loving one another and making paradise together. There's got to be some contrast, some struggle, strife, or strain. That's where the melody departs from the tonic, when the child leaves its forebears. Without disharmony, no harmony. This, one of the core principles of tantric practice, the system, having too much stabilized, ultimately benefits from a challenge to the status quo. The base way of being in the world disrupted, the pattern interrupted to jostle and jar the channels open for better information, new connections, new releases. This soul's yearning is the destiny's calling, is the will of God, the will of Goddess in each of us. But the blissed out heart, the spiritual bypassed mind, an amicable divorce between heaven and earth, too bad. And then I have a bunch of question marks in parentheses, which means I'm not really sure how I'm going to get from what I did to the next, so I'll just leap into it. This is where the darkness comes in. Welcome to the Endarkening, where we meet the pain and fear with honor and respect, with full acceptance and loving embrace and even a welcoming celebration. More to the point, in BDSM writ well, there's a structured practice of consent, conscious, clear, concrete. For good fences make good neighbors. Good consent conversations make for satisfying exchanges. Something redeeming desire from Calvinists and literalists. Ellipsis, close parentheses. If need is the x-axis and action is the y-axis, desire is the z-axis. The imperfect is our paradise, says Wallace Stevens. It is in the unknown that we find hope, says Sense8. What I'm trying to say is it's easy for things to stagnate in the systems and habits we've built for ourselves, the spinning down to comfort zone ruts again and again. Won't release you from their downward hold. At this point, you're trapped in gravity, tragedy, stagnation, and boredom, when all you wanted was a moment of ease. So it becomes necessary to stir the pot, to stoke the fires, to poke the bear. Hence Lalita's pointed goad, hence her enticing noose. We need her to want us. We want her to love us. So I did tell you these were pieces and parts, okay? Here's the next batch. Bhakti is typically translated as devotion, and sometimes as reverence. It's what we feel for what we burn for, what we hold truest, where we choose from, what we look to again and again. In spiritual life, as in the bridal chamber, pituitary and pineal, we practice bhakti. We approach our Shakti with the same tenderness and desiring with which we'd approach our, in fact, lover. And it takes practice, just that, to lasso our own attention, temper our own heat, pique our own interest, and come to map hers. Here, fantasy enters in, also called wishing, dreaming of what could be, will be, might be, you and I, she and we, tat, tvam, asi, I am, that I am. Reverence for the other, for the mother, for the lover, for life, is what is most missing from modern culture. What is most missing from dating in the apocalypse, the war between the sexes, the Me Too movement, and cancel culture all alike. Reverence doesn't mean submission, it's something else. It's celebration, dedication, consummation, and ultimately union with the beloved. And several times my notes end with this phrase. This is where the phrase BDSM and Bhakti comes into play, as if I weren't already all the way up in it. So, the consent conversation is the axis upon which the successful BDSM scene occurs. Here, the navigating of power dynamics and the achievement of mutual aims. So, this is what we've got that was built upon what I had said to you all before. I come back out of my notes. I would love to have a conversation about this. If you have questions, type them in the comments or message me directly. Again, sort of disjointed snapshot today, but I thank you for receiving my offering, and I hope you will likewise receive my prayer. Thank you for the interlude, and I look forward to everything that comes from here. Bye for now.